to another episode of Student of the Game. I am your host, Kyle Spain, and it is always a blessing to be here. It is a pleasure to be accompanied by a brother of mine who went to BYU, played in Spain, played in the TBT for Team for Debt, played in France for a majority of his recent career, in addition to his national team. Introducing a good friend of mine with a wealth of knowledge, representing the Ivory Coast, Mr. Noe-Charles. Or should I say Charles-Noe Abouo for the second time? How you doing, brother?
Doing well, doing well. Good to see you, man. It's been a little bit, so I'm excited we get a chance to talk and catch up.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I know that you have an extensive background on, on life and in sports, and so I'm excited to get to pick your brain as well, man. But talking about your last year, you most recently retired last year, and so talk to me a little bit about that and what made you hang it up.
Yeah, last season I was playing. I spent my fourth year with Le Portel, and I had a foot injury during the year. Tore my plantar fascia, and came back throughout the year. I wasn't really the same, and it was an interesting experience. I was giving it all I had. The nutrition, the training, all that stuff,
Yeah, of
and
course.
it was just it was like something there was something bigger than me, man. It's like I just could not I just could not get back to that. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah,
was crazy, man. I was even like I had my teammates were awesome, the coaches were awesome, like everybody was helping me, pulling for me, and everyone was like, man, it's just gonna turn around. You'll see. I'm like, yeah, I know it always has, it always has. And then dog, it just didn't really, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
but for it was weird the first time I would say my career, you know how this can be. I was I was proud of how I handled that, you know.
yeah,
I never had a chance to it was like I never had a chance to be proud of myself through what I thought was failure. It was like, we're in the dumps, we work, we work, we work, it's hard. Then you get some success. You're like, okay, great. And then, you just keep right. But there was none of this, at least not
yeah,
from a performance standpoint, right? As far as like
yeah.
performing, how you could maybe mentally you're growing and stuff like that. But so it just it made me really I was proud of the work I was putting in, even though I was not seeing the results. And then I was not seeing any results. So I was
And
like, man,
when you say results, like, what do you mean results?
I mean, shots weren't going in. I like plays I usually make wasn't making, like my foot was supposed to be healed, but it just didn't have that same and so I started focusing on the things that, and like you said, yeah, maybe I was looking at the wrong results, right? I started focusing on the things that can be measured, like, was I being a good teammate? Was I helping my guys out there? Was I genuinely happy for those guys? And
Yeah,
and I was doing those things, and I found a lot of joy and pride in those things. Things I've always done, but usually you get to participate. You're playing too, but not being a play, it was like, okay, you know, it's a, I could see the value in the other things, and so that got me over it. And then, but I could tell when I came back home that summer and I started working out, things like that. It just felt a little bit different. I always thought like you know, it just it was like just a switch was turned off. Like I was trying to
So
fight
you
it.
just
I
weren't
got back in shape.
okay.
It just wasn't like it would just it was like,
You
no,
didn't have that
it's
same
time.
emotional connection towards the game anymore, huh? Just like everything that you used to put into it just wasn't the same. You just weren't feeling it.
Well, if I'm being honest, I was that was all the same. But it's like everything I loved about the game, it was all there. But then it's like kind of like who I am outside of the game. Just it was a lot more clear, and it's kind of like it took up a lot more headspace than it usually does. So it was like
Okay.
there was another part of it's kind of like a part that was like awakened a little bit, and it's like for the first time in my life, I put basketball. It's like basketball had the right amount of space within my
Yeah.
kind of like my heart and mind,
Yeah.
where I realized before, for certain reasons, maybe it was what it needed to be at that time. It was, it was there was maybe a disproportionate amount of time it was taken up in my thoughts and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, explain to me to what the clarity was for you outside of basketball. What is it that you're into now? Or
um,
what was that awakening moment that this is me. This is who God is starting to stir up inside outside
yeah,
of basketball because that's a lot of the time essentially what we're talking about here as far as players transitioning from basketball to real life is something that doesn't happen naturally or doesn't happen often. Even for myself, it was a struggle for me to figure out what I wanted to do, whether that be basketball coaching and suffering from a lot of imposter syndrome as well. What was it that clicked for you that was like, I'm more than this. I'm this is starting. I'm starting to shift this way.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It didn't really. There was no click. I think I was looking for, you know, well, you're always looking for the click, right? When you're playing,
Yeah,
and even like oh, what is it? But there was really no click. So it was like, I had to kind of rely on like who, just who I am. And just to go back, basketball is an instrument, it's like a vehicle that allows us to
yeah,
like do so many great things. And sometimes when you just love the game, it's all you know. You've hooped, so it's a hard feeling to explain. It's like it's part of you. Um,
yeah,
but the reason why we love it so much, I think deep down we don't realize it. Basketball players can't even put an explanation on or define their love they have for the game. We don't even. It's just like, okay, because we have that mutual, but we don't even know how to. And what I've come to understand is, it's like a vehicle that allows us to, express ourselves, deal with, hard things when we're growing up. It's a place that's consistent where we can go. We know it's fair. We put this in, we'll get this back.
yeah,
We make friends through it. Then next thing you know, like you're a young man, you have a chance to get an education, travel the world, and then it's like you're not realizing all these things are happening, but it's happening, and your love of the game is developing as you get better and you understand basketball more. But it's also something that helps you understand yourself and the world and stuff like that. And then it it it, it helps you kind of become who you are too.
yeah.
Um, but you know, we're usually young when we start this process of basketball, and I think what it took me a long time to understand that it's a vehicle that's allowed me to do all these things and express myself and stuff like that. But you know, they say that what you do is, or your talents, or what you do is like a way that um, it's like another way the world can get to see the impact of Kyle, or Charles. But there's a lot. I think for me, it's like I was grateful for that, and then I I saw that, and then I also realized like I gave a lot to basketball as well, and then my teams, my teammates, and things like that, and then there's more that we can give in other ways, in other things, and sometimes
Absolutely.
it's hard to and you can still keep basketball as one of those vehicles, but you can add other ones, you know. You can add other ones, and there's other people for you to impact. There's other things that you can bring in your life that can also allow you to express Kyle even in different ways. Um,
Absolutely.
so I think for once in my life when I retired, it's like I was for the first time I was not I was a I wasn't I wasn't gonna run from myself, you know. Like I was willing to face, you know, what needs to change, where I need to grow, and I always knew life would be different after playing, but it's like, you know, I think it's important if we have a curiosity for it too. Not just like a fear, but a
Yeah,
curiosity for that.
I
And I
think that's
think that
important.
I started to feel that kind of curiosity. And it just coincided with it was physically I could do it. But I was thinking like, man, I could still play 1, 2, 3 more years, but it's like I want to take time to really make the choice. I don't want to play until I can't play, even though I may be getting
Yeah.
there. I want to take ownership of the decision, and that way I'll know, okay, I chose it, and then I'll have accountability. I won't think twice, like, oh, maybe I should have done this. Like, okay, you chose to do this, so you chose this time, then you don't look back. And you know, I don't miss it that much because I think it was like an honest decision that was right for the time.
Hey man, I absolutely love that. I mean, I love everything that you said about that because that accountability factor plays a huge part because it's like, well, what if you, because I mean, that happened with me, basketball was all of that I knew. Um, Still chasing that dream, feeling unsatisfied with where my career went, still trying to make it to higher levels of basketball and just climbing that mountain and it seeming like I'm always like was slipping. And so when I got injured back in 2022, it was like I still have more to give to the game. I still have so much more potential and talent to reach. And so a big part of me was like felt like it was stripped from me. So you being able to take accountability and make that decision on your own, like, well, I don't want to wait till I get hurt. I think that's huge. And then for you to look back and be like, well, man, I don't regret my decision. That's huge for your mental, man. I'm happy for you. Because as I mentioned before, I don't think a lot of people experience that type of satisfaction with the decisions that have been made for their life, whether that was intentionally or not, man. So right on, bro. That's good for you, man. I want to go all the way back to how Charles got started with playing basketball in the first place. Talk to me about your childhood and how you got into the sport.
So yeah, we moved from Ivory Coast to Milwaukee when I was about 7.
Okay.
That was what? That was 90, that was like 96. Yeah, 96. So, you know, basketball culture was kind of permeating throughout the world, especially with the Dream Team and stuff. So we didn't play that much basketball in Ivory Coast, but it was starting and people knew who Jordan was and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was more into soccer. Um, Everyone played soccer, but we were kind of like fans of basketball. So when I moved to Milwaukee, I was I did English as a second language, so I had to go to like a school that was like in the city, and all the kids played basketball, and you know I just thought it was cool, and I wanted to play with them, but I really wasn't good, so nobody wanted to let the African kid play, you know, like you know at the time, like now it's cool being from Africa and stuff, but you know back in the
Yeah.
90s.
Back you. Yeah, I get it.
It was different. So, but it was good for me though. It was good for me because it allowed me to kind of like, you know, just kind of know who I was and I started playing at the YMCA, you know,
Okay.
hoping I would get good enough and then they would let me play at school and stuff like that, which that eventually happened, so it was cool. But I started playing ball at the YMCA. My mom would drop us off Saturday and I'd just be there all day. And then interestingly enough, man, like so my mom's Christian, my dad's Mormon. So we were in he's Latter Day Saint. He he when we were in Milwaukee, they would have like the missionaries, like the Mormon missionaries come over for dinner sometimes.
Yeah.
And there were these two guys that they have like a rest day. It's called like a P day, preparation day. these dudes like would come to the house, eat dinner and stuff. And then on their preparation day, these two young men, they're probably 19, 20 at the time. They would come to the YMCA and rebound for me.
Hey, that's
Yeah, it was
love.
crazy. It was crazy. They would come and rebound for me, and then like, you know, they would they would take me like get ice cream after and stuff. Like it was dope, man. And so those guys kind of like they would do that like every week, you know. So so I had my
That's dope.
rebounders and stuff, and one of them he wasn't that good, but he played a little bit, so he was trying to help me how to shoot stuff. So that I would say the YMCA and then the rebounding with those guys once a week, and then started playing at school. That kind of gave me a love for the game. Um, and then I moved to Utah uh, when I was 11, and then I got my first team ever was actually like a church ball team.
Okay.
So yeah, I got a church ball team, and then that's when I started playing basketball. Not a lot of organized stuff. And yeah, I played on one organized team in eighth grade for like 12 games. Then I would say my real first organized team was, um, you know, I would say the real one was when I first got to high school as a freshman. And then
All
after that,
right.
I was just all in. I wasn't that good, but just played every day, every day. I would go watch Utah State players play pickup, just hanging around the sidelines for like a year. And then they finally let me play when I was like a sophomore. And then that's when like things just took off because I was playing against college players all summer. Like,
Mm.
yeah, I would sneak out. They play at 9. So like I would sneak out and go play pickup with them. There was good players too. It was like, some of the Utah State guys, Jason Carroll, Spencer Nelson, Cardell Butler. He was like ball holic and one. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lot of good players, man. So those guys, they got me right, I would say. And then that's kind of when things took off.
So you got that experience, playing
Yeah.
against, people that are better than you. These days, there's a lot of kids that are afraid of higher
Mm,
competition and want to play with players that are more of their level, not understanding that when you play against better people, that raises your bar, it raises your level of not only exposure to, better experience, but it raises your level of competition.
yeah.
So, a lot of people need to understand that. In addition to that, man, you was out there playing all the time, man. So
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that this generation needs to understand with everything being so quick. Everyone wanting instant gratification, or everyone wanting to be good right now, rather than putting in the work and all the TV and all that other stuff that are essentially distractions, because we didn't have iPads and stuff like that growing up. And so I feel like there's not only more opportunity, but there's also more distractions for our upcoming generation. And so
Yeah.
I think that's important for our kids to understand the importance of the work that needs to go into wanting to be good, because a lot of kids, they want to be good, but they're not willing to put that work in and hold themselves accountable for the effort that they're putting in outside of the court. Man, so that's good information, man. So you're in high school, you're playing against college kids, Utah State players. You're starting to get good. That kind of like molds your game. And what happens from there? How do you end up getting to BYU?
Yeah. So I was in living in Logan, right by Utah State. And I wasn't highly recruited. I was kind of late bloomer. I think my senior year, I was 16, turned 17 as a senior. My recruiting was picking up a little bit, but honestly, I wasn't. Didn't I was good, but I wasn't that good. I was still developing. I remember before my senior year, I went to play an AU tournament. I got in this local AU team, and I actually wasn't playing that much, but I got to watch, and I would see some of the best players in the nation at these tournaments, Adidas Super Season 4, all that stuff,
Yeah,
those circuits. And I mean, I was just impressed, like seeing like those guys like Michael Beasley and I mean, it was just different level.
yeah.
Like it was a different level. And so there was something that guys had, and I was like, yo, I don't have that. Like that, like that consistency game to game, that poise, that switch you can turn on and take over a game. Like I for my level I did, but I was like, yo, there's levels to this, you know. So I wasn't highly recruited. A lot of kids think they should just have a scholarship, or if their buddy gets one, they should get one. Like my senior year, you know, people were like, "Man, you should have this." You should. I'm like, like, I mean, I've seen those guys, and it's like, you know, you know. But I think what was great for me is I was still able to like in the off season play with against pros and stuff. So it was like
Yeah.
I didn't, even though I didn't measure up, I had a place where I could go and kind of like help fill those gaps in my game. But there was a coach at Utah State, um, Dave Rice. He was at Utah State, and he heard of me playing with the guys and stuff. They said some good things about me, so he would come to my games, and he actually liked me as a player, as a person, and so he started following up on me. I don't think Utah State was as interested, so I didn't really get an offer from them. Um, so you know, you're the local kid, you're good, and then the local team doesn't
Right.
offer you. You know, I mean, I was fine with it, but you know, it was a little bit like not embarrassing, but it's like people wanted you, people were embarrassed for you, but it
Yeah.
was okay. But then I actually I actually played AU again after I graduated because I was still 17, and I wasn't going to turn 18
Okay,
till
that's cool.
November. Yeah, so I was like, okay, let me play. The team asked me to play, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll play, and then they'll see me against my own class. Um,
Yeah.
and then it was totally different that year after. I was actually really supposed to go into my senior year, but I graduated early, a year
Yeah.
early. So that was different. I mean, I was hooping. I was playing really well. And then there was a coach that was at Josh Pastor. He was at Arizona at the time, and he would, you know, they wanted to like recruit me. And then my coach told them, oh, he just graduated, so I mean, he'd have to come now. They're like, you know, we don't have a scholarship right now, but we what we could do is he should go to prep school. We could talk to one of the best prep schools, and they'll take him. We'll tell them that we want him over there, so we can have a chance to recruit him. So it happened quick. Like a couple of days later, I get a call from Brewster Academy,
Okay.
and the coach is like, "Hey, I never heard of you. I don't know who you are, but some coach told me to take you. I trust him." He's like, "Can I trust you?" I was like, I don't. I was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to, you know, find a place to play college. And he's like, well, we don't have any. We don't really have any money like that, you know. And this coach is amazing. Like he's one of the best people I ever met this day. But at the time, you know, he was being very direct. He's like, oh, we don't have really money like that, but I guess we can give you a half scholarship, but we got to take a half a scholarship from someone else, so another sport. So unless you're good at another sport, like good enough to take a scholarship, you either need to come up with, you know, 30,000 for half a scholarship, or you better be freaking good at something else. I was like, I'm African, I play soccer. So he was like, all right. He's like, you better be good when you show up. I was like, all right, man.
No
So
pressure.
no, but yeah, hey man, there was no pressure. That was my first sport. You know what I mean? I was better at
Yeah.
that than basketball.
Okay, right
So
on.
you know, because basketball is your sport. That's your religion over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I remember the Utah State coach that recruited me. He got a job at BYU. You know,
Okay.
so a lot of people think it's the
Uh,
Utah connection that got me BYU, but it's really that guy. So
got
he got
it.
the job at BYU, and then I was at prep school. They kind of came out. They kind of came out and started recruiting me super aggressively because I was going to be in that next year's class. So and then I ended up committing to BYU, which happened to be a good decision. But at the time, I was really committing to him because he'd been recruiting me first. You know,
Yeah.
so that's how I ended up at BYU.
All right. I ain't got a little tenure with Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
were you same class as him?
I was a year younger. Yeah,
A year younger. All right. So that must have been interesting. How was it playing with Jimmer?
it was good, man. Like you know, you had a first row seat to like you know one of the greatest careers.
Yeah.
You know, one of the probably the top five college career of all time. You know,
Yeah.
so it was amazing. And you know, BYU's not like BYU's a big school, and it's like it's known, but you know, it's not like so. It was even crazier the stuff he was doing
Yeah.
here. And so it was cool. I would say it was a blast playing with Jimmer, but he's a great dude. And we lived together probably 3 of those years, yeah, his last 3 years, my first 3 years. So he it was fun. The friendship was a good friendship. And like
Yeah.
it was cool. Like the battles on the floor were amazing, but it's like we were really good friends off the court. And before we knew what was gonna happen with all that. So it was just cool to have we had a great relationship on the court, but off the court, we also had a different relationship that was it was good. We had a lot of good friends around us too in school, so it was good, man. It kept everyone grounded, and we were just kids, so it was fun.
That's dope. All right. Well, explain to me year four at BYU, you graduate. What was your next step after that? How'd you end up getting your first contract?
Yeah. So I uh I was playing through like plantar fasciitis my senior year, so I, I right when senior year ended, man, I was in so much pain. I remember we played last 2 games. I was in so much pain, like I really couldn't do anything, And
Dang. So you were
yeah,
dealing with this problem even before you just most
yeah,
recently retired. Okay.
yeah. So there's a lot of things that go into it. It's a thing for another day, but just like knowing how to train, wearing the right shoes, knowing how to take care of your body, it was all preventable. It was all preventable, but at the time, I didn't. That's why I'm so adamant about a lot of the things I share and talk about
Yeah,
is
no, it's
because
crazy because I mean, that was one
yeah,
of the questions I'm going to ask you about as
yeah,
far as, your mentality towards that.
yeah,
But let's
yeah.
get through
Okay.
the
All right.
let's get through the through the story
Yeah.
first.
So I had a right after my senior year, I was trying to figure out how to fix this foot thing, and they were like, we might just have to. We were hoping your plantar fasciitis would just tear. That way it could restructure the fibers, but they had told me like, when I was playing, they put some cortisone in there for the pain, and what happened was
Yeah.
the cortisone like thickened the tissue, and plantar fasciitis is actually it's not a good thing, but if it tears, you're young, whatever. I've seen you, it'll kind of put the fibers back. Shit, that's not a good thing, but what's worse, I think, is going in and doing like someone going in and tearing it, it can
Intentionally? Oh yeah.
intentionally because I don't think the body works like
Yeah.
that. That's because that's traumatic.
Yeah.
Um, if it snaps itself, it knows what happened, and then it's like I don't know. Then maybe the other people know more about that than us. But so they were like, "Hey, we might have to go in and just tear it ourselves," and then to. So mind you, I was just like, man, I trusted the system,
The
whatever.
process.
I
Yeah.
looked, and I was senior year, I was broke. I had no money. Like
Yeah.
you tell that to these kids now, like they're probably like, "How are you broke?" But because they don't understand what it was like. Um, but anyway, yeah. So I got some different opinions and stuff like that. But people were like, "Yeah, you might just have to." So I got the surgery, and I was out 3 months. So no training, no off-season training, no workouts and stuff. Not that I probably would have had a couple. So I was just So it was a really reflective time. Like, you might play, you might not play. So I remember I was praying a lot, but it was a peaceful time because it was like for the first time, I'm like, you might not play basketball. So it's like, so for 3 months, man, I just like really pensive. I was going to church. I was praying a lot. Not even to like, I was just trying to figure out like, what life would look like without that.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and I would say I was in a really good place spiritually because I almost like, all right, I'm open to whatever. If I can't play because I did this, and it's like I don't know. Well, what else was I gonna like? I was just trying to do the best I could. And then an opportunity came up with. Well, I didn't tell anybody though that I was getting this thing.
Okay.
So
All right. So I was in the
agents started
wraps.
hitting me. Yeah, agents started hitting me. I'm like, yeah, I was like, I'm out just a month. I had a little thing, but it was bigger than that. So I had an opportunity to go with. Actually, I won't lie. Like I'm not gonna lie, but I was really praying a lot at this time, praying a lot, and then I was just gonna be straightforward. There was my one of my guys, Mike Hall, he was like, I went to see him one time. I was kind of like, man, I don't know. He's like, you know what? When you were playing, or when Jimmer was here, there was some scouts that would come to practice, and like he's like, a couple guys they would always ask about you. I was like, really? He's like, no one told you? I was like, nah. He's like, yeah, they just talked about how you were guarding and you were making shots. And they're like, hey, this guy could maybe be kind of one of those guys that can fit a role, maybe, who knows? And then I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you should have your agent call one of those two teams. I think it was like the Bulls and the Knicks. I was like, huh. So this was like maybe a week before I was about to get cleared. So he
Okay.
called so I had an agent at the time that I picked. He was like a Spanish guy that he had one or two guys in the league, but he knew me from the national team stuff. So he called the Bulls and the Knicks. And then they were both like, yeah, bring him in for a mini camp. We didn't know what he was doing. We didn't see him at any.
Okay.
I was like, so I was like, okay. Because I remember at the time, I was like, I remember I said the prayers would be like, hey, listen, I can't play, I can't do anything, but I know I've kind of put off like spiritual stuff. I was like, I'm gonna use this 3 months to really try to get closer to you, the truth, what it is, God. Like, I don't know what you are, what really, but I'll do everything that it takes. I'll do the right things. I'm gonna go to church. I'm gonna read whatever. Like, um, so I was like, but I just let me have an opportunity to play again. So and I don't know if that I don't know. It was kind of random how that came about. So I went to the Bulls thing. I wasn't quite ready. Um, this was also a big lesson. So everything I prayed. Bro, I don't know how I was able to get that. The old director of ops, he randomly told me about that. I asked the agent, boom, it happened. So at that time, things were happening that were outside of my control. And then as soon as I got healthy and I got to that thing, all that like, was trying to be aligned, pray. So
Yeah.
it stopped happening. Not because I tried, it was just kind of like, all right, well, I'm here. Like the me before the reflection of stuff came back.
Got
Okay,
it.
well, all right, I gotta, I got this is an opportunity. I'm not ready. I'm not like, you know, I'm not ready. I just only have 2 weeks to get right. They don't know about them. Like all this like anxiety and like all these things to justify why I'm not ready, why I'm not, even though like, I didn't, I didn't,
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I tried to reclaim my story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah. And I mean, that's
saying?
often what people do, man. And
Yeah.
that's crazy for you to say. And I appreciate you sharing
Yeah.
that, because a
It's
lot
like,
of life
God,
experience.
appreciate you, but I got it. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
got this, you know, and the thing about God is like, obviously, like, I don't know if it's I don't know how it works, but sometimes I feel like, like a loving God would probably be like, all right, hey, you got it. Okay. I'll let you, I'm not gonna get in your way. I'm here if you need me, you know what I'm saying? But we have our free agency, right? So, that was a good experience. I mean, there was like Jimmy Butler, Johnny Flynn, like all these guys there in that meeting. Patrick
Yeah.
Beverly was there. It wasn't just like it was like some rookies, but it was like also like Marquise Teague just got drafted, but it was also like some vets they were maybe looking at signing. I don't think they do mini camps like that now, but it was different. So things maybe I'll explain that another day. The things that looking back, just like there's so much spiritual context from that. But anyway,
Of course.
um, I
I'm,
it didn't work out. Um, yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work out. The last day, it was the last day I was playing. So I thought I was playing so poorly, and then one coach came up to me and was like, "Hey, bro, like you're doing good. Like the guy upstairs likes you. Like Coach Tibbs. Just play hard, and you'll probably go to summer league with us." And I was like, my perception was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not, but I was still okay, which was weird. Um, I remember last scrimmage, I had like a couple game winning opportunities. I missed them. It was like, well, anyway, so I didn't end up going. Um, and but that gave me confidence, like, okay, as bad as I thought I was doing, I'm good. I'm good to go. I can my foot feels fine. And then I got a chance to go to um I I thought I would have a contract in like a first league somewhere, just from my international experience and stuff. But I started in the second division in Spain and led gold for a team called Huesca. Signed a contract, I think, for like my first year for like $25,000, and which like that wasn't really. It sounds like nothing, maybe, but it was like it was a good situation. It's not obviously not what I thought I would get, but it's like you learn pretty quick the reality of overseas ball.
Yeah.
Then when you get to that team that's only paying you 25,000, that's in the second division, that's in a small town, and you're like, you think I should be in the league, whatever. And then that coach gives you the ball, and you're playing just easy transition drag stuff like that, and then take that first pick and roll and throw the ball to the defense, and you're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then it's
All right.
like, and then that's when reality starts. Like it's like, okay, like there's I'm starting from scratch, and I gotta I gotta get better. And that was the start of my overseas career in
All
Huesca in
right.
Spain. Played 2 years in Spain. Was doing national team stuff in between, African Championships, World Cup, and then I did 2 years in Spain, a year in Qatar. Well, I did 2 years in Spain, and then I actually didn't go back that third year because I made 25 grand my first year, 18 grand my second year. Like the money dropped, like all the teams in Spain, and I didn't have a great first year. I played well, but not well enough to. So like my money dropped. Played through that year, we did pretty good, and then I just wasn't really getting good opportunities. So I was like, man, I might be done. So
Yeah.
I was asked to go to Egypt. I was like, I'm not playing basketball in Egypt. That doesn't. It's not even. So I stayed home. I started doing an internship. And then like halfway through, it was like, man, this is all cool, but either you go back and play now, or you're done playing. Like you're really done, done. And I was
Yeah.
20. Yeah, I was like 24, so it wasn't like I was. I was like, man, like. And the Egypt thing came up again. I was like, man, I'm not. But it was February. I'm like, ah. So I just went. It's a great
Yeah.
experience. It was hard. It was hard. It was a great experience. Played well. It was
What was
it
hard
was
about it?
hard part about it was totally culture shock. Like I
Yeah.
was living like the middle of the city. Like I mean, like not I was living in like next to players and like or next to like even like other expats. There's some nice. I was living like in the city with like low to middle class families. No knock on that. That's why it was amazing learning experience in a third world country. You know,
Yeah.
so it was like hindsight. It was amazing. Like I mean, apartment was rough. Like you know, and yeah, it was. And it was just like, man, like compared, like you're not at BYU anymore. You're not in Spain. You're not. So but it was great, man. Just connecting with my teammates. So then I made friends. We had a good team. We did well. And I embraced it. I was like, you know what? It's hard being the main import for a top team in the Middle East. They expect you to win every game, score 30 every game, beat double teams and stuff like that. And I played my best basketball I've ever played in the Middle
Okay.
East.
All
Because
right.
you really have to do everything. And then
Yeah.
when I would see guys, sometimes guys with like bigger names go over there and struggle. I was like, man, like okay, like, and then the next year I wanted to go back to Europe, but it was kind of lower contract offers, so I went to Qatar because I got like, I went there and that was a good experience too. And then it was funny because you go to the Middle East at that age, people were like, "Oh, if you go to the Middle East, you'll never go back. You'll never go to Europe." At the time, and I was like, "All right, well, I really can't afford to have another year where I don't really save any money." So I went to Qatar, and then after playing well in Qatar, I had an opportunity to go to France. And it was weird because they gave me like a small offer, like similar to what I made in the past. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. Like, why not? I was like, Pro B France is great. It was Dene. It was when I played with you.
Okay.
I was like, look, I was like, look, Pro B's great. I'm grateful to have a chance to go there. But I was like, I can't take this because it's like it's going to be half of what I made last year. and I'm getting offered even more this year guitar. So I would love to, but I can't. And they were like, okay, well, we'll give you more. And then we'll get throwing this, we'll throw in this, we'll throw in this. And I was like, if I had gone to Qatar, if I was coming from Spain, they would have given me that first, I just would have gone. So
Yeah.
it made me realize early, like all that stuff is perception. You have
Yeah.
your path is your path. Where you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be. Like people, narratives, history doesn't dictate doesn't dictate your path. It's like you
Your
take the
fate.
path of
Yeah,
everybody.
absolutely.
Yeah. So they're taking the path of 4,000 people and then adding it up together, dividing it by 4,000. You're like, here's it doesn't work like that. You're one, you're one like experience that's
Yeah,
unique, you know. So when you
exactly.
look at like the general stuff, you're like, it makes sense, but because they're taking the average of everybody's experience, but you can't look at that stuff. And so
Oh
that's
man,
how I
it's
got back to
important.
France. Ended up staying in France for 8 seasons. And then that was my career in France. Yeah.
Okay, man, that's a dope story, man. That's a dope story. I love hearing it, man. That everyone's pathway, because like you said, everyone's pathway and experience is unique. Similar to like a VIN number on a vehicle. You may have
Mm-hmm.
a car that may be similar to another cars, but everyone's destination is different. Everyone's they got their own DNA. Everyone's got their own, individuality. How God created it to be, man. So that's a dope story, man. So as I've known you, when I met you, you have always been into nutrition. You were always, top shape, man. And I almost wish that I had that mentality when I was playing, and I didn't really have any of it. I was in my feelings. I didn't embrace my career as much as I wish that I would have. And so I want to ask, what got you into that mentality to where you really just took your nutrition that serious and like you like did all the little things, all the technicality of exercises to make sure that your body was in top-notch shape, man. And so how did that mentality develop? I know you said, you had that plantar fasciitis situation. Is that what kind of like facilitated things?
Yeah, yeah. And before we get to that, I would say too, it doesn't like the grass isn't always greener, right? Like for example, you may not have done some of those things, but there were other things that you did as a player that made you a really good player too. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like your mindset, like when you were on the court, like you were locked in. You know what I'm saying? You were aggressive from start to finish. You were assertive, not and plus two, the reason why I start with that is because, I do a lot of healthy stuff, but and I've got to know myself more, but it's not everything. Like a lot of it for me it started out of anxiety. What I say when I say that, it's when I realized I wasn't eating great and I was dedicated, so I wanted to learn more. And one of the professor at BYU helped me with that. I ended up majoring in exercise and wellness. So I was eating a burger before practice one time. He was like, "Yo, you're about to eat that burger and go practice?" I didn't even know the dude, so I just looked at him like, "Yeah, what's your problem with that?" And he's like, "Yeah, you probably want a better source of fuel." He's like, I was like, yeah, whatever. So I went to practice. That's how we do. We eat burger fries, go to practice, and it's like
Yeah.
you're, but it's like you're like, yeah. So and I started. I thought of the next day I ate something different a little bit earlier. I felt better, and I saw this dude again. I was like, yo, what was that stuff you was talking about?
Yeah.
So he kind of put me on game a little bit, and then he was super cool. So he told me who he was. I ended up majoring in exercise and wellness because he taught a class called obesity and chronic disease prevention.
Hey, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, and then
That's really good.
yeah, I went to that. I took it as an elective. They let me take it before I even majored in it, and I was just like, it's information I never learned. So I got into that and stuff like that. But my thing was like, if I eat great, if I do this, I'm gonna be even better, and it's gonna help me. But it doesn't work like that. I think eating healthy and stuff makes you aware of things, and it can be better for your body and mind, which can in turn. But I was really anxious. I was like, I wanted to do everything that I could because to make it. At the time, I thought that's what being great is about, like being obsessive about every little thing.
I mean, but don't undermine that, man, because that's a mentality that I think that a lot of people need to have, to
Yeah,
be successful in anything. You took that sacrifice and you gave it your all, which is why you were able to, I feel, retire and not be, you know, upset with your decision, being okay with your decision. I think that's the difference between you and I. You were able to retire and be okay with it versus like, did I do everything that I could to be as good to maximize my potential? And that's where ultimately, regret settles in and that reflection of
yeah,
like, okay, well, I didn't do everything that I could. So you had an opportunity, man, to do it right. And I believe that you
yeah,
did. And I think that's
yeah.
important for these kids that are growing up that want to be the best, but aren't doing everything that they can to be the best. So I feel like that's
Well,
important, bro.
well, here's the thing too, though. Like, I think that's part of the puzzle, right? So you see that picture back there, like your family.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so 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 like when we were playing, you saw me doing that. I had, I was kind of one person I could lock into that. Like, yeah, I thought you were a great player. You helped me so much with my game. But one thing you also did was all that healthy stuff is cool, but relationships are also important. Having the love for yourself is also important. Having a support system is also important. There's things that like that stuff does chemically in our bodies that is even healthier than the healthiest diet,
Yeah.
if you're eating the
I
healthiest diet without that stuff. So
yeah.
I remember like, yeah, you might have not been able to do that, but it's like you were coming home, like I'm making my little vegetables and meal prep, like you're playing with your kids. You're being a great father. Like Tyson's geek, you know what I'm saying? Like you got your wife, you got so it's like you were able to add that stuff later in your life, right? But I'm saying sometimes there's things in our life that like are easier for some and less easy for others. But
Yeah.
what you see me locking in on, maybe, some of the other things is what I needed more. It's not just like,
Yeah.
and what I'm telling you is where I'm anxious is it's like sometimes the stuff and the stuff that can you feel like give you an immediate return, you'll just like double down on that stuff. And sometimes it's the other things that need to be addressed too. Like you were always happy for your teammates. Obviously as a basketball player, we're all hard on ourselves, but when I was kind of down, where would I go? You know what I'm saying? You'd pick me up. You know, I'd go hang out with your family. You'd have me over for dinner. Like, bro, you're good. You're a great player. You're gonna be fine. Like when I got to dinner, I wasn't even playing. I felt like it should have been playing because I was
Yeah, me
in.
too.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. You were telling me that, and I was instead of be by myself, you were inviting me over. So if I'm being honest with you, nutrition, all that stuff's really important because our body literally builds itself on what we, but also builds itself up with, our thoughts, our emotions, and stuff like that. And for me, the healthiest thing for me has been, you know, the people in my life who treat me how you treated me as a teammate. Like that's the stuff that's like, if we can do that for ourselves and others, that's the most important thing. So I would say don't sell yourself short on those qualities that you have that are also super, super healthy. And I think those are healthy than anything. But so yeah, those things, the nutrition stuff that did help me. Learning about those things helped me. And I think it helped me with the injuries and the recovery and stuff like that. Um, and it really gave me like a wealth of knowledge that I was able to like share with guys and young guys and stuff because of
Yeah.
how I saw how it changed my body after the first injury when I recovered from that first surgery. So that was really cool. And I'm able to share that stuff with people now and young guys and because you played, they hear from you, they take it a little bit more seriously. Um, so yeah, it's been a big that's what got me into that is meeting that professor, taking that major, but then also having a chance to apply it after surgery and after different, um, yeah, different setbacks in my career. I saw that the nutrition and all that stuff, recovery was able to help me bounce back.
Yeah, man. And I think I knew that about you, and I think that's super important for athletes in general that are trying to become that best player. Yeah, the mentality of the other things that you spoke of are important, but that nutrition and diet, that doesn't just go into athletics. That's important for health after basketball as well.
Exactly.
And so for, for your recovery purposes and just overall, optimal performance, how important nutrition is. And so now, like you said, you have that knowledge that you can share with athletes in helping them in their journey of becoming a top athlete or trying to become an athlete that they desire to be, man. And so I ultimately wanted to pick your brain and wanted you to share, your thoughts on, the importance of implementing a proper nutrition and diet, especially as an in-season performer. So you
Yeah,
kind of like you kind of touch base on all of that, man. So no, I appreciate that. And in addition to the perspective of because we always have our own vantage point on what we are internally missing. And I appreciate you sharing that, that family aspect because in my mind, I'm thinking about the nutrition aspect and
right.
yours, it's kind of like we're always seeking for the stuff that we don't have in our lives. And for you was the family aspect, man. So I think that's going to be important for anyone who listens to this to, try to establish, not just the balance, but kind of be aware of the important things of life, of trying to
Yeah,
incorporate a balance in, what they're doing so they can get the elements of everywhere, get all the elements that are
yeah,
incorporated or that factor into, not just being a great basketball player, but ultimately being happy, right? Because if you're not happy, that's definitely going to show up in the game. And so,
right. No, you're right
pulling
about
from,
that.
yeah,
And I thought,
go ahead.
and that's and the beautiful thing about that is like because that's you know we've had a we've had a good friendship and we were really good teammates together, and we all have things we know and strengths and weaknesses. And like I said, what my you're one of my favorite teammates I've played with. I'm not saying that lightly.
Appreciate that.
I have like a certain number of guys that I really connected with, and that's the thing. Like I remember we would talk about nutrition stuff, and we'd be like, okay, this is what you need to buy, this is what you need to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember talking that with you and your wife, and then so something I shared that, but like I said, you guys shared like your family with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and you also put me on game a lot of other things in life that you had more experience with me. I remember I was in a relationship at the time, and
Yeah,
I mean, you're married, so you understand. You have a lot more experience um, as far as a relationship than I did at the time, and you were married at the time, so you were able to like give me some wisdom and things like that. And I think that's what amazing friendships are about, like helping each
yeah,
other in play areas where we need and being there. And I think
exactly.
for the young guys listening to this or players, like people say it, people don't get it. Those are your favorite memories from hooping. It's like,
Yeah,
and the basketball memories you have from hooping, your favorite ones are the ones that were like amazing on the court moments, but with guys that you really vibe with
it, it,
off the court
that's
too. Like
facts. That's
I
true.
know I've won championships with some guys that, I don't really think about those games as much as I do about like games with the guy or experience with the guys that I vibed with because that relationship was bigger than that, you know. And honestly, those moments of basketball are just cool memories that we can add to our friendship, which is bigger than that and
Yeah,
forever.
absolutely, man.
And so
That's
it's
great
like
perspective, bro. Yeah,
I just hope that people lock in on those friendships, and it's like, yeah, life can take you guys different places. You get busy and stuff like that, but that doesn't change the bond, you know what I mean? That you
yeah.
create.
Yeah, man. Okay, man. I like that. I love that, bro. Man, I love that. Couple more things. I wanted you to talk about, you know, what it's like being injured and that process of going through it, what's that mental process like of being injured and like how it takes a toll, just on your happiness and just your energy, right? Because being injured is a discouraging, it's a discouraging process that can really deflate people. And
Mm.
so how what can you how talk about your process of how you dealt with it. So maybe those, because injuries are are a lot of them are preventable,
Mm.
but some of them are out of your control. So what you have to say in your experiences will help somebody that is going through an injury right now. So how did you handle
Yeah,
that, and how did it affect you rather?
yeah. Um, the first injuries. is the hardest. It's kind of like the first heartbreak.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first serious injury is the hardest. But I will say for me it was, I mean, like you and everyone knows, it was really hard. Um so but I think now I get more perspective with them. I think and I might answer the question maybe a little differently, but it'll make sense. I'm realizing like injuries for an athlete sometimes, especially when you're young, it might be the first time that you address a lot of things or you face
Yeah.
certain things about yourself that you didn't know.
That's heavy.
Like I remember like there's just so many challenges that come from it, but it's honestly, first of all, if you're not playing, you can't play. So that's not part of your identity right now. So
Yeah.
one, you think you honestly, we love basketball. It's easy to go in 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. Well, now it's like, no, you got to be disciplined and do the little things to even hope you have a chance to get back to the same level of play. So you got to be
Yeah.
disciplined. It's like the ultimate test of delayed gratification,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And and it's and also you have to face yourself. You're down, and then you have to learn, you have to kind of you feel that and you have to learn how to like operate in the space where how can you deal with something that's not great but turn it into something that's going to make you better. Injuries will always make you grow in a way. But
Yeah.
looking back, man, it's like, yeah, it kind of sucks because it's like if I didn't have the plantar stuff or break my wrist or whatever, but would things be different? I don't know, but that's what happened. And from
Yeah.
that, I've learned a lot and I've experienced a lot too. I don't know. I don't know who I'd be maybe if that didn't happen, if I would have learned things I learned or I would have been
Man, that's so good.
honest, I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't know if I would have been able to shoot like that. Because like you know what I'm saying? I was able to shoot the ball really well later in my career. Like, and I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, that, I'd probably still be trying to be on the rim all the time. But um, it made me, I would say, it made me a better player. It made me more skilled. It made me have to figure out different things. But I remember when I hurt my foot one again. I like the same foot I broke another bone on, and I had to be out like 3 4 months at blowout. And I went to the foot doctor, and I was like, yeah, but this happened again. Why does it happen to me? Like, like, is my foot gonna be back? She's like, she changed. This lady was amazing. She's like, hey, stop it. I was like, she's like, stop. She's like, the athlete you are now. She's like, this is your foot. Like, your foot is here. It's healed. But she's like, it's never gonna be the same foot as before. But she's like, your body's gonna find a way to make up for that through you're going to strengthen other parts of your calf, of your other parts of your foot, the intrinsic muscles. This isn't going to bother you, but your body will adapt. She's like, what you'll learn is like your body will adapt, and in other ways it'll be stronger and it'll like work out. But embrace that. This is where you're at. And she's like, there are different things you can do. I'll talk to you about some things. And she's like, this is the foot that you have. She's like, take care of it and make it work. I was like, dang. That was the last time I thought about like that being a limiting factor. And that was like maybe 6 years from my first surgery. I was like, man, if I didn't have this, if I didn't, and that was the last time I made excuses for having a foot that went through this stuff. And I was like, it's just something switched to me. And then for the rest of my career, it was like, people would be like, oh man, I didn't know this. It was kind of like, it was like a sign, it was like a strength for me. Like, hey, like, yeah, it was just, she just kind of changed how I thought about things. And, it was, I got injured again last year, but I embraced it. I embraced it because I was like, it happens, but it's like, I'm going to learn more about myself. I'm going to bounce
Yeah.
back. And there was a time, Kyle, I'm going to tell you straight up, last year was, I mean, I was waking up, I was doing my exercise, I was going to therapy. I didn't want to lose cardio, so I learned how to swim. So I could like, I had to swim. I was swimming like for an hour, just like to stay cardio. So when I could come back, I was in the, and like my teammates were impressed when I came, like, man, like you're, but I'm telling you, nothing was working. And and I would go home and like sometimes I'd be like, I would, I'd eat some whatever pastries or whatever in France. I'd watch some movie just to get my mind off things. And I was like, I'd tell myself, I was like, bro, you know what? You can't don't run from the hurt, the pain, the sadness. I was like, you can be sad. You can eat whatever. You can eat, but when you wake up in the morning and you go to practice, you got to be on. You know what I'm saying? And so I would turn it on knowing okay, when you go home, you can sulk, you can whatever, but it's like when you're here, you got to turn it on. And it was like this last injury was the first time I allowed myself to, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be down.
Okay.
It's okay to have a space for yourself where you can like let it out and stuff like that. And that ultimately is what helped me retire because, you know, I didn't see it as like failure or I'm not this or I didn't, because like I was able to appreciate my efforts in the worst moment in my career when nothing was working. And I was like, man, you're working hard. I was, for the first time, I was proud of myself when I was with the time where I was getting nothing because I was getting, for the first time, I felt like, man, like I'm okay with myself. Like, even though I'm getting cussed out at practice, like the coach, whatever, I know what I'm doing is right, and I'm giving it my all. And I was like, man, like if the first time I was okay with my all, even if it wasn't like what I thought it was going to be. And ultimately, that's what helped me be able to retire and know I gave it my all. And I didn't have to be fully happy with it. I didn't have to be like, oh, I should, but I had to be proud of myself for being intentional and really giving it my all and knowing, hey, I guess I can't go back and do it perfectly. But as far as effort and intention on it, that was there. So I'm good with that. So I learned that during the injury. You know what I mean? I learned
Man,
that
I had
in the dark space of injury. And then now, like I'm helping people have the same stuff. I'm like, oh, bro, here we're gonna get you these shoes. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna send you this guy. And like, oh wow, man, that really helped. Like I thought I was done. Like, and even the coaching now, it's like I'm teaching some guys how to like play and read pick and roll and stuff. Some of these guys are amazing, and they're like, yo, you did all this. I'm like, no, guys, like I didn't. I did it later on in my career, but I didn't know all this. But I I got to see. I was guarding guys, and I figured out what I didn't know, and um, it was funny, like all these failures and setbacks I thought I had, these injuries, it's like I learned so much that I can give to guys so they don't even have to go through that or whatever. So I'm kind of learning through the coaching and stuff like life is a long journey. And I thought basketball was like my journey, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm like, dang,
right,
it was
bro.
just like a part of the journey. And it's like
Yeah.
everything that I thought, like, it's crazy, bro. Like all the things that I thought were failures, or even like me not being able to shoot early on in my career. I'm like, bro, like I see these guys, they got a hitch in their shot. I'm like, okay, well, we're good. Look, get down in your shooting stance, whatever. Ball first, so that by the time you have keep your legs down. Ball first, so that you still have leg power when you release. It's like no more hitch. The shots fluid. No, like because I went through that stuff when I
Yeah.
tried everything. I was bad. Then like now you have an eye to see that stuff. It's just mind boggling to me, bro. Like everything I thought was a failure
Yeah.
was like lessons that you know that I can
That God
teach
blessed you
people.
with to teach others on the way,
Yeah,
man.
the successes. I don't. Guess what? We don't really because here's the thing. So I saw this the other day. Someone said the reason why you go through hard, or the reason why they think you go through hard stuff. We all have our different perspectives. They say they're like you don't learn that much when you're
From the
you know
wins, you learn from
yeah
the
you're
losses.
yeah
You
you're
learn
just
from the
like
hard
turned up.
times.
You know what I'm saying? Like yeah,
Yeah.
you learn from the hard times, and it's like a lot. Yeah, it's like a lot of great people too. Like you look at a lot of great players, they don't know how to articulate greatness. Like you'll see
Yeah.
you'll see dudes like you'll see basketball players like Steph's like they line their shoulder with the rim, their feet are pointed to 11 o'clock, Their ball rests on their palm because their body naturally has figured out a way to shoot the ball in a great way effortlessly. But then they're like, oh, how should I shoot? They're like, all right, feet straight, beef, elbow
Yeah.
in, ball in your fingertips. That's not what they do. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I know that because I tried beef. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You're right.
It
You
didn't
try.
work.
Yeah.
So then I watched greatness like Steph and them, and I was like, oh, I gotta line my shoulders. The arm's not in the middle of my body. It's like any sport
Yeah.
where you're using one arm. You got to align that with the target. So if I already start, kind of aligned with the target with my shoulder, then my arm's straight. If I'm all squared up, I'm not straight. I'm actually to the right. So being a bad shooter and watching that, I'm like, okay, I had to teach myself. So now when I see a guy do that, I can teach that. Or, whether it's like,
Yeah, bro.
like so it's just been a blessing for me. Like I'm still figuring things out. Like nothing, I'm still
I,
figuring life out, but just my mind's been open that like this is a long journey, and that was just kind of like the start of the journey for us.
man, that's really heavy, man, because I just started this podcast, this particular podcast. And as you're saying it, man, as there's three things that I just got out of that. I want to ask you one more question. One is utilizing your injuries as an opportunity to build character, using it as an opportunity to grow in other areas that you didn't think that you were going to grow in. So instead of being discouraged about it, it's a test of faith and character as to where it's like, okay, well, what do I want? And if I really want it that bad, like, what am I willing to do to overcome this hurdle? Second thing is like we all go through these experiences, wishing our experiences and our failures would have been different. However, our failures are in turn those experiences that we are given, are blessed with to be able to educate and help everyone else, so they don't have to go through the same things that we've gone through. And then
Mhm.
there was one more. I should have written it down, but no, man, that's extremely big. Being able to utilize those moments and convert them into positive ones, because a lot of times
Mhm.
people get discouraged with injuries, and now you're helping people in more facets than one, man. So that's amazing. I'm gonna look back on this and I'm gonna figure out the other question. The next time I'm gonna write them down.
Yeah.
But last question,
Those
bro.
are great points.
Yeah. What is one or two tips that you think that would be most beneficial or impactful in your mind for the youth and the generation coming up, so they can be the best basketball player they can be? What advice would you give them?
I would say two things. And none of them are even basketball. Um, I'll say three things. I said one is put down the phone. Like it's really ridiculous, like what's going on with. I watch guys, and the reason why it's ridiculous because a lot of these kids, man, they're amazing people. Like you
Yeah,
talk to these, like we have guys at BYU here that are like top ranked. They're supposed to project this, project that, but it's like if you see if you talk to them on like they're just like these, they're smart, but at the same time goofy, immature.
yeah,
They're really kids. And but they have such a status and notoriety that they also don't get to be, you know, that at the same
right.
time. It's hard. I don't know what it's like, right?
Yeah,
But I will say if they can sometimes put down their phone a little bit sometimes and spend time doing things that are wholesome, like just kind
yeah,
of be like, I know everyone's trying to be into like the vintage clothes and all. It's cool, but be into like the vintage like camaraderie stuff too. Like you know what I mean.
yeah,
Go to the movies. You guys go to like go do things together with your teammates like we used to. Like go eat, but
yeah,
put down the phones. Like
yeah.
like some of
Be
them, or just
present.
like be present, or like everybody doing their own thing. Like invite a like we used to like sometimes invite a bunch of girls over Like if one of us like the girl, we invite like a bunch of them over and we'd like make breakfast and watch like a movie with everybody, not people pairing, just like a group of people hanging out and stuff like that, just like in good, wholesome groups. And I just wish they would do a little bit more of that because it seems like, the phone and everyone's like people have kind of become a little bit more like I feel like isolated. So I think for
Yes,
these young
absolutely.
people, it's like be around your be around, have good friends and do things with like them that are wholesome, that are fun, that are try try new things together. I don't know. Like we used to do that type of
Build
stuff.
relationships.
Build good relationships because that's going to be like the new currency, I think. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
as because that's really going to be what makes you feel rich. Like when you have real genuine relationships. The second thing I will say is man, talk to the OGs and mentors, man. Like
Yeah.
it will literally save you so much time. And I did it a little bit and it everything helped me. And sometimes it won't help you in the moment because you won't do it. But then when
Yeah.
you get a little bit mature, you'll be like, yeah, right, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it now. I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
these kids don't understand. It's free game. Like if you
Yeah.
go up to Kyle Spain, like, yo, Kyle, what did you do for this? He has to tell you because he has to. That's part of just
Right.
the. Now, if you don't ask
Exactly.
him, like he can't. But so I would say, like basketball, life, like and I still do that to this day. Like I got some mentors I see around. It's like if I'm like, hey, this happened. What should I do? Like it could be anything, spiritual, romantic, financial.
Yeah.
It's just it's just what you're going through. People have gone through. Everyone thinks
Yeah.
like you're going through it as you're an individual, but the experience every people have gone through, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
realizing. I used to think like, oh, nobody understands me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they won't get this. Like, oh my God, everything I'm doing, someone has done. And that's
Yeah,
like,
man, that's heavy.
and even like
Yeah,
anything
bro.
you do, business, financial, whatever, like, and the person that you look up to that you don't think has done that or has gone through that because you think they just showed up at the top. No,
Right.
they've gone through this exact phase. So I would
Yeah,
say
bro.
talk to the OGs, and then yeah, and I think the third thing is know who you are because what I'm also seeing with these kids is, I love some of these guys that I get to interact with. Over the years, even the kids on the young teams when I played, it's like they're such good dudes, but I can only take them in doses because
Yeah.
it's like you're gonna see the individual, then it's gonna wear off real quick, and then they're gonna be what society, Instagram, TikTok, and everything has said that the 19-year-old basketball player in France should be,
It's
or a 19-year-old basketball player
yes.
in America should be. Like you got to
Yeah.
wear this, you got to listen to this, and it's okay to be weird. It's okay to be different
Absolutely,
than
man.
other people.
It's
So
spitting fire right now.
yeah, it's like you got to know who you are because sometimes I don't know who that. It's like everybody's the same. Everybody listens to the
Yeah.
same guy, and then
Yeah.
society will give the update after 4 6 months. All right, now we're listening to this. Now we're wearing this, and they just
Yep.
download it, and then what I'm saying, like, so yeah, they come up to me like, yo, like, did you hear, a little whatever? I'm like, nah, I don't. Even if I do, I'm like, nah, I don't. Like, well, you don't listen to him? I'm like, nah. Who you listen to? Then I'll say something, or they're like, are you going to this? I'm like, nah. Like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I'm going hiking. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so just like to just I'm not like I understand that they're but I try to like I'll try to like throw in little things that are kind of like question the mask that they put on.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, tell me more about this. So I try to give them that outlet too to see things from a more perspective because they're great dudes, man. Like these kids today, they're smart, they're dynamic, they know, but I don't want them to grow up too fast, because
Yeah.
once you grow up, you're done.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so take your time, slow down a little bit, and
Yeah.
yeah, I would say, yeah, build good relationships with your peers, be around the right peers, talk to the OGs, mentors, your parents, all that stuff, people that have been there, and then know who you are. It's okay to like some things, okay to say no. It's not, I don't like that. And even
Yeah,
if it's
bro.
weird, it's fine.
Be yourself, man. Hey, that was fire, bro. That was fire. All right, well, where can people find you if they want to learn more about Noe, learn more about nutrition and what you have to offer people, man?
Yeah, well, I have my Instagram is just Charles Abouo. Um, I post some workout stuff or basketball stuff I'm doing. I also have I started a brand called Eat Well Play Better.
Okay.
So
Right.
that's the Instagram's Eat Well Play Better. It was previously me posting about food advice and stuff, nutrition advice for athletes, stuff that I was doing when I was playing. I'm actually releasing a product this week. It's like my electrolyte powder. And then so that'll be you can get that. I'll link that up. You can get that there or also eatwellplaybetter.com. So I'm gonna try to kind of walk the walk and kind of make some sports nutrition products that are all natural for athletes, anybody that wants to go down that route. Nothing crazy, just like electrolytes, maybe hopefully multivitamin, greens, maybe go into some other things later. We'll see. Just kind of starting slow. But
Yeah.
kind of what we talked about when I got back. Some people knew what I was doing. Like, hey, what are your plans? I was like, hey, I've always wanted to do this. They're like, oh, I know someone that does that. So it's like sometimes just being open and asking people, they'll you never know, like they'll just people will help you. And that
Yeah.
allowed me to, get find someone here that could help me manufacture that product. And in exchange, they for a lot of their help, you know, I I they kind of dropped the minimums that I had to do, which was awesome because I'm not a big company. And in exchange, I got to help them with their kids and stuff, basketball stuff. So it's like there's good people out there, man. And like there's
Yeah.
like we
Connections,
said,
man.
there's things we've learned in our life that we can share. There's things people have learned in their life that they can share with you. So
And that's
like
how it's supposed to be.
that's how it's supposed to be. So even though someone can help you with something and they do help you, you should ask them too, like, hey, what can I do for you? Because they might need something that you've learned in your life, and it could be you might not think it's a big deal, but it
Right.
could be a big deal for them or their kids and vice
Yeah.
versa. Some they might not think it's
Exactly.
a big deal to you. So, you know, yeah. So there's things that are really important that you can find synergy with, and helping each other achieve the things we want to achieve. And yeah, my what I'm doing now is a testament to that. So yeah.
Right on, bro. That's fire, bro. Again, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your knowledge, sharing your story, sharing your experiences, because that's definitely going to help somebody. You've already helped me. Man, that was some fire knowledge that you had to give, bro. Appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, brother.
Uh,
I'm really grateful I got to get on and talk to you. This was good. It gave us a chance to catch up, and get to talk to each other
Absolutely.
again. So